Hey team, Coach D here from Eat the Frog Fitness, and I'm here with my really good friend Odile. And today we're going to be talking about stretching. Right now, in this weird times, we're either running a little bit more outside or sitting a little bit more than usual. Our whole lifestyle is going crazy. So Odile's going to talk a little bit about what we can do to help make our body more whole. So I'll let Odile take the floor.
Thanks, Damien. All right, so I brought my skeleton here. His name is Jack. And he's a really, really good reason to demonstrate the model of why we stretch. So much of our musculature, if you think about your muscles, we often don't have pain in the muscle per se, maybe a little bit of soreness, but usually where we get affected by a lot of our overworkouts and a lot of our sitting for a long extended period of time is actually in the joint, which we don't even realize because we're so fixated on the fact that the muscle itself may be a little bit sore from our workout. When the muscle gets pulled too tight, it actually pulls the joint out of position, and when it pulls the joint out of position, it totally distorts the skeleton, and it can make the skeleton, our whole body, start to take a different shape, and then we start running in that shape and sitting for long hours of time in that shape, and that's where we start to actually create injury rather than benefit. So we're going to do some simple stretches that you can do at home. All you'll need is a yoga strap or a leash, even a dog leash works great. We're going to use the doorway, so that will be an easy prop. And really the biggest prop that I want you to bring is your mind to your muscle. So really bring your body into each stretch that we're doing and take the time to just practice them. Okay, so Damien's going to lie on his back. And if you need a pillow for your head, you're going to go ahead and place one. Damien has pretty good posture and alignment, so he doesn't need a pillow. He's going to grab the strap and put the foot right into that strap. So for a lot of people, coming into this position is very doable, especially if you practice a lot of yoga or you get a pretty good stretch from your workouts afterwards. Go ahead and lower your head, Damien, and relax your shoulders. All right. So Damien has really great form here. I think we talked very briefly last time. We want to make sure that the head of the femur is sinking right into the cup. The cup should receive the femur. So it's a symbiotic or a dual relationship. One needs to drop, the other needs to receive. And then you would breathe here for about 5 to 10 breaths. But for the sake of this video, we're going to keep it nice and short. Damien's going to then cross the midline. So he's actually going away from the camera. And he's crossing his right leg over to the left side. But the key isn't necessarily getting all the way across. The key is that Damien needs to keep his hip down on the mat and reaching towards the end of the mat. So his butt bone should be reaching, that's it, all the way towards the end of the mat. So keeping that neutral pelvis is really important. Then from this position of maintaining that neutral pelvis, Damien's going to open the right leg out to the right. And in the process, is going to actually turn the thigh, because the thigh in this position, the stretch, is all the way in the inner thigh. So the more he can rotate his femur and keep that left hip down, that's the hard part, the better stretch he's getting. And of course, we're breathing this whole time. So there's no bouncing when you're stretching because you're trying to affect elongated change. If you bounce, you're contracting back to center, which that's a different type of stretching, which we're not doing right now. And then Damien's going to go ahead and bring that all the way up. Okay, go ahead and drop that strap. Perfect. So for many of us, when we bring our leg up, we can't quite get to 90. All we're feeling is the shoulder tension from holding that strap so tight. So here is a quick little life hack and stretching hack for that. Okay, so come on over, Damien.
Perfect.
All right, so Damien is going to go ahead and lie down on the mat. And he's going to put his bottom, his right side, so we're just going to do a single leg at a time, just like we did with the yoga strap. He's going to put his right bottom as close to the door frame as he can. Now Damien is quite flexible, but he is going to kind of represent a majority of my clients that I see who are often quite tight. So he's several angles away, right, from the doorway, and he's probably getting a little bit of a stretch, and then more than anything, you check your alignment. So are your hip bones down and level? Are you tucking your pelvis? If you're tucking your pelvis, sad to say, you're not actually stretching your hamstring, you're overloading the bones of your spine. So you want to make sure that your pelvis tilts itself to neutral, which for a lot of people feels like they're arching, but the natural curve of our back is what we're trying to preserve and restore. So Damien's going to check his alignment. Looks good from here. If he can safely keep all that connected, then he's going to come closer to the wall. And he's inchworming his way closer to the wall, and here he is. So perfect, right? So Damien has the access in his body and the flexibility to be able to be here. What he is continue to think about is taking his sits bone, that's the bone that he sits on, and sending it away to the door frame. So the door frame is great because you can actually feel it, and then down to the floor, right? To preserve that natural curve in his back. In this stretch, you don't cross the midline and you don't open out. You can possibly open out if you have lots of wall space, but just check that you're not overstretching your inner knee when you're doing that. So I like to demonstrate this one and teach it this way. All right, so he's reaching his heel to the sky and breathing here for about 10 breaths.
And this one's great because it feels passive. I feel like I can just kind of hang out here, whereas if I have a belt or something that I'm pulling on, I always feel like I want to do more.
Yep.
So this is just an amazing passive way to kind of get that flexibility, and you can know if you're getting any more flexible because you can see if you're getting closer to the wall. So I love this.
Yep. And one last benefit, again, the femur dropping into the cup. So yes, we stretch for flexible muscles, but really we're stretching for joint health. So if our joints are really pulled because the muscles are pulling our bones out of alignment, then we start wearing down in our joints in negative ways. So this allows Damien and whoever is practicing this to let the bones really settle. So you're creating a healthy hip joint space. And from here, you can increase the stretch. But until you have this established, you might actually be doing a little bit more harm than good to your body if you're just passively stretching with the strap and not really feeling the stretch. So take the time to do it right because you're going to benefit yourself long term for the long haul.
Beautiful. And then you have some other stretches to show us?
I do.
All right.
I do. All right, here we
Let's
go.
do it.
All right, so for the next one, we're going to go into another lying down position. So that's called supine. Damien's going to lie supine. We're going to keep with the right leg. And of course, you're going to do all these stretches on both sides. And you're going to hold each of these stretches for about 10 deep breaths. Okay? All right, so this is taking the hamstring stretch and starting to include hip mobility into that. And also a little bit of the opposite side leg getting a nice long stretch. So Damien's going to hug his right knee into his chest as close as he can. First, he's going to notice, do I feel tight and pinching in the front of my hip? If I do, I just don't effort so hard, all right? Damien's going to think about his hip alignment. He's not hiking it when he pulls that knee in. It's nice and long. Then he's going to hold on to his ankle, so his right ankle with both hands. So go ahead and both hands. And then he's going to turn his foot to start facing the ceiling. For those of you who are yogis, you'll know this is single leg happy baby, just like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people can't totally hold their foot. Most people are going to hold somewhere at around their calf, but this is the deal. You want your right knee angled towards your right armpit. It doesn't have to go right across the front of your body. As a matter of fact, that's not true hip joint space anyway. So David is going to think about his kneecap starting to nestle into his axilla. Axilla means armpit. So it's going to start dropping in. And to intensify the stretch, Damien's going to take the angle of his shin bone and make it more of a right angle while keeping the knee nice and close. But be careful to not side bend, right? So the side bend is where we start to distort the stretch. Then we're not stretching anymore. Then we've given up something else in order to achieve the stretch. You really want to create balance in your body by creating a long neutral skeleton and then stretching the joints you're trying to stretch. All right, so he would hold it here, for about 5 to 10 breaths. So the next stretch, all right, Damien is gonna go prone. So he's gonna flip over onto his stomach. So quadricep stretch, we know we do it. Sometimes we're standing at a stoplight, next thing we know, we're finding ourselves holding our foot because our quad is tight. So this is a great way to feel a good quad stretch and really sink into the stretch. So this is a really great one. Damien is gonna go ahead and grab his foot, So again, a lot of people can't quite get this alignment because they either have knee issues or their hamstring cramps, right? If your hamstring cramps, you're gonna have to flip over into your hamstring. If you cannot catch your foot, you're gonna grab your strap and you're gonna loop it around your foot. So that's also part of the stretch. Okay, so he's going to place his forehead right on the top of his free hand. And he's going to not focus so much on pulling his heel to his butt, but rather pressing the front of his pelvis, particularly the pubic bone, into the floor. So the intensity doesn't come from how much can I yank on my foot. The intensity comes from how much can I press my pelvis into the floor, engaging my core, and there is the quadricep stretch. So now you can really feel your quadriceps stretching because you're anchoring the points that you are stretching at their site, which is the most important thing.
And when I was doing this, I was pulling on it, but then as soon as you said push your pubic bone into the floor, the intensity of the quad stretch was right where I wanted it to be. So that's exactly a great cue, is pushing that bone into the floor. The quad stretch will come with that.
It will come with that. And it's a great way to learn how to do it well, so that when you are standing at the stoplight or after you've done a HIIT class at Eat the Frog, you are going to feel that. So you can start looking for that feeling, and if you're not coming up with that feeling, then you know, oops, I've got to go back and practice it again. So figure 4 is another really popular hip stretch. Go ahead and lie back. So right ankle over left knee. We love this one. We're going to go ahead and pull Damien's left knee into his chest. He's going to hold either at the front of his shin or behind his knee. He's flexing his foot. When you flex your foot, which is awesome that he's doing that, you're actually creating stability at the knee joint. If you torque your ankle the other way, which most people sickle their ankle, it really puts a lot of load on the fibula and also the outer edge of the tibia, where a lot of the attachments happen, because the bottom and top of the shin are the ankle bone to the top of that shin bone there. So when you flex the foot and pull your toes and activate that musculature, you really are creating balance in the knee, and then the hip is the one that's getting the stretch, not the outer knee, which you do not want to be stretching your outer knee in this one, okay? So again, lots of my clients can almost get here and they almost feel the benefit, but some people only feel the strain and the shoulder tension for trying to hold that leg in. So I'm going to give you again another hack. So what Damien's going to do is he's going to turn to the wall. He's going to take the same stretch, but he's going to put his left foot up on the wall.
Oh, that's great.
And it's going to be right at a 90-degree angle. And then again, his arms are free to relax, right? He can actually take in the stretch. He can check his pelvic alignment. If his pelvis is off alignment, he's going to make the correction that he needs to make. He's dorsiflexing or energizing the front of that foot. He's engaging the musculature. And then he's breathing into that whole outer hip and pelvis region. Okay?
This is fantastic. I have more ability to concentrate on this region than to be focusing on pulling. So this is an awesome option.
That's right. Okay, one more, and this is my total favorite. And right now, because we have so much tension across our pecs, we're not driving our cars that much anymore, but we sure are on our phones or in front of our computers. So we're going to do a nice pec stretch. It's called the pec doorway stretch. So here we go. Come on up, Damien. All right, so this is an awesome pec stretch. If you have shoulder issues, if you have rotator cuff issues, if you have anything that, any sort of shoulder impingement, I would really refer you to a doctor before you were to do this one. So check if you're already seeing a physician, check in with your physician, check in with your PT. If they say you're safe and clear, this is an awesome, awesome stretch. And I do this at home all the time. All right, so what Damien's gonna do is he's going to stand in the doorway like he is perfect in his model. Yep, and then he's gonna put his elbow, his forearm, and his hand right at the doorway. You can't totally see, but his left foot is gonna come forward in front of his right foot, but like he's taking a step, not like he's twisting his hip. So everything is pointed forward. His pelvis, the center of his spine, his chest, his collarbones, his face, everything is pointed in a forward direction. All right, so Damien is gonna press his elbow into the wall, 2, 3, for the count of 5, 4, 5, then he's going to relax, 2, 3, 4, 5, then keeping this great alignment, he's going to gently come forward through the threshold, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you repeat. You don't back up again because you've just established a new muscle length, so you want to hold on to that. Check in. How does it feel? Does it hurt? If it doesn't hurt, gently keep going. Here we go. Forearm, elbow, and hand, press, 2, 3, 4, 5, relax, but hold that position, 2, 3, 4, 5, and forward, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so on Damien's body, you can see his pec is so tight that it does want to turn him to the left. So he's got to work in his core, actually, to start turning his trunk to the right ever so slightly just to hit center. So this is a great stretch. Again, check in, make sure it doesn't hurt. You do about 3 or 4 rounds, and then you definitely have to do the other side because this is not a one-sided stretch that you could accidentally get away with.
Beautiful. Thanks, team, for tuning in. If you have any wishes to contact Odile, how can we get a hold of you?
Okay, so right now everything is online. My website is odilemovement.com. I have some videos posted up on YouTube as well. Check out Odile Mat Class. And if you have any questions about orthopedic concerns or issues, I am really happy to help answer questions, help guide you, and give you more information. And I look forward to all of you staying happy and healthy.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you so
team.
much.
See you soon.
Bye.